A very good evening to you. Hope you had a wonderful weekend and welcome to Monday night's Fools Rush In. As a Swindon fan, this Christmas present that I was given has never seemed more appropriate. It's supposed to help me remember a lot of good things and promote a positive mental attitude. But with all the panic over a lack of announcements and seeming lack of activity, and the fact that everyone associated with Swindon Town is being linked with moves away, it's important to remember simply to breathe, that calm is a superpower, and to trust the universe. We have a wonderful panel tonight to look back on the weekend's games and preview what will surely be a very, very busy transfer deadline day. And of course, it is this legend's birthday, so we will all be sending him the very best wishes as well. But before all that, let's roll the titles.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love with you.
And let's get straight in with introducing tonight's expert panel. And I'd like to begin with a very gifted young lady who has come straight from a successful debut on OSC to make what I think is now her third, if not fourth appearance. The merch magician that is Jo Archer. Evening, Jo. Welcome.
Hello, Fifey. How are you?
Welcome back to Fools.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Nah, it's our pleasure, of course. As I said, you just had your debut on OSC. 2 hours ago you started. It was nice to have you on the telly instead of you sending me pictures of us on the telly.
It was good. They were good, lovely people. They made me feel just as welcome as you guys do. So yeah, big up to the OSC.
Yeah, big up. Hopefully, I know Nick's been on before. I think Ben may have done as well. You never know. One day, even I might make it to the upper echelons of STFC media. That's for sure. Next, let's say hello and good evening to Mark. How are you, pal?
Good evening, Mr. Fife. Evening, Joe.
Hello, Mark.
How
are you, buddy? You all right?
Yes, mate. All good. Very excited on this transfer deadline day eve, as it should now be known. Expecting a very busy day. Very exciting. Yes. Looking forward to our topics this evening and getting into some good debate.
Oh, if anything is a certainty, there is good debate. I believe the taglines we're now using, Joe, is better than loose women. Excellent. And what's the one Steve sent us earlier? Was it like listening to a kid argue with his parents in Asda about having sweets and the arguments getting nowhere?
Yeah.
Next up, let's say hello to someone who I don't think he's actually had that much sleep over the last 48 hours, but thankfully he's looking fresh and he's ready to go once again. Hello, Rich.
Evening, mate. How are we doing, guys?
Hey,
Very
mate.
well, thank you. Yourself?
Good stuff. Yeah, not too bad. Got a bit of sleep eventually, but yeah, still a little bit tired.
How was the night out? It was London you went, wasn't it? Saturday night, Sunday morning?
It was indeed, yeah. Yeah, no, it was a good laugh, good crack. No, the whole day was just mad because football in the morning, football in the afternoon, and then literally pulled an all-nighter, didn't get in till like 6 a.m. So, yeah, mad one.
Mad one indeed. Well, I'm glad you had fun. Next up, sporting the name of Swindon's exclusive new signing. Evening, Woody.
Evening, everybody. How are we?
Very
yes,
well.
I am. I'm actually coming under a different disguise. I am fucking no one.
You play centre back.
I am. I play wherever, mate. I'll tell you
Oh,
what.
sick.
I can also. I play up front because I heard we haven't got any strikers, so I'll play up front. But I don't play centre back or centre midfield.
Oh, well, that's handy.
And I'm definitely not left-footed. So
Excellent.
All in
David
all,
Duke.
quite a handy player.
It started already. What's Ben's going to say today? The guaranteed replacements we had for Gladwin still isn't here yet. I'm afraid for all the regulars who have been waiting patiently for the follow-up to Friday night, Ben isn't very well and isn't here tonight, I'm afraid. He will be watching on, though, I'm sure, and may even appear in the comments to address some of you directly. I think there's space for one more, and it's a man sporting some spicy new merch of his own. A man who has done at least 2 bottles of wine, and during tonight's episode will, for some reason, devour a Turkish delight. Happy birthday to young Nick. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm really good. Fifey. Evening, everybody. I hope we're all well.
I'm very well, but more importantly, how's your birthday been?
Been absolutely brilliant. Look, we found a 1.5 litre bottle of wine in the cupboard. I've got my Turkish Delight and I've got my Prezi. If you can all see the new merch, all good stuff. And it's everything Swindon town. So
all Swindon
days don't get much better than this.
I do love how, and Joe, it has to be said, you seem to have inspired so many people because obviously Nick's sporting that he got for his birthday. I got this for Christmas that I showed before from my son. Everyone's just hijacking the Fools Rushing logo now to follow your lead in making excellent merch.
That's good. It's good. I've still got to make one for Rich and you, Mark. Is that right? Okay. Yeah. This is the room where the magic happens. So yeah.
Hey! Oh,
What magic is that, Joe?
Making mugs, making merch. Honestly.
Okay.
We've got Pie Man ain't here. Fucking hell, night's ruined. We've got birthday messages coming in for Nick, and another fool who sorry, let me try and get my words out. May well yet make an appearance a little bit later tonight. Craig saying spice is better than sauce. Ben confirming there he is poorly sick, and here's that nickname again. Happy birthday. Okie dokie.
Yeah, thanks, Em. Stay in what?
Can I just respond to Steve very quickly? Yeah, it's so I can actually hear myself, mate. Not.
I do that. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see, but I actually let me tilt my head the right way. This ear doesn't actually have the headphone on. I keep it to the side so I can hear to make sure I'm not shouting, especially
exactly.
when I'm a bit bunged up because I literally can't hear myself.
Exactly.
So I do the same thing. You ignore them, Rich. You do you. In fact, hang on. I'm sure this is on there as well. Yeah, there you go. You do you. There is actually one other birthday before we get into tonight. You'll see the usual Monday night panelist Wazza isn't here, and that's because it's Ellen's birthday, so we'd like to send her a very happy birthday. As Nick said in our WhatsApp chat earlier, only legends have birthdays today, isn't that right, Nick?
Absolutely, 100%.
So sending her Oh, go on,
Nick hasn't got our charity calendar though for his birthday.
Or the 69 women.
I've done pretty well.
Emma, just before she disappears, love the tea. We're off to bed. Too late for us. And there's Dan saying, good evening to the panel. Happy birthday, Nick. Busy evening for Joe. She is. We're very fortunate that she agreed to do the 2 shows in one night, which ironically means that in terms of appearances, Joe has done more podcasts tonight than one show has done on Full since we started over 2 years ago. Being on 2 panels in quick succession. I know that's Ben level commitments from Joe. I'd love to. What's Ben's record? Do we know? Is it 3 or 4 in one day?
Oh, God knows.
Ben, let us know. I know you're watching. How many have you done in one day? What's your record for Joe to try and beat? Shall we get straight on? And it's fair to say, if you've listened to Sky Sports News or BBC Sport or Talk Sport at all today, all they've been talking about is the Hollywood story in the FA Cup yesterday. Well, if there was ever to be a remake of a film that describes Saturday, it's certainly the good, the bad, and the ugly. It started so well and could have ended so terribly the way it went. But Swindon managed to get a draw, despite going down to 10 men at the weekend. When you look at the result, from being 3-1 down at one point to draw 3-3 is, most people would see as a good result, but needless to say, Swindon fans definitely found the negatives more than the positives if you were to read online. As is customary, Rich, can I start with you? What was your take from the game?
Yeah, like you said, I think we were very unlucky in the end to actually not win the game. I thought, well, we started off like I knew we were going to start. I thought that we were going to start off. Gunning came out, all guns blazing, really.
No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it was a brilliant goal. Brilliant, well-worked goal. Great cross, obviously, by Hutz. And then obviously got a bit of luck with the defender heading it directly into the path of Williams, you know. And then it just went very Pete Tong from there, really. An abysmal refereeing decision.
Absolutely shocking in a fair few decisions, let's be honest.
Two abysmal decisions within about 6 minutes of each other. Obviously, their first goal, I don't know what the fuck we were doing defensively wise. That was just shocking, absolute shocking defending. Nobody was tracking the runner, and they obviously got a nice easy goal. And we were 3-1 down within about, I think, in the first 12 minutes, I think it was.
Yeah, think it was 12, yeah.
After that, I mean, in the first half, it just wasn't working. It really wasn't working. The link-up play just wasn't working. What we were doing out wide wasn't working. Like, I said at half-time, now, it was either we needed to take Lavigne off or we needed to change formation. Because the thing is, we had 2 centre-backs that were both left-footed, and we had Lavigne, who's a right-back predominantly, who can play left-back, but he was a right-footed left-back. And I thought, we had 2 left-backs that were playing centre-back, and neither of them were actually playing left-back. And I'm just thinking, what are we doing? Why are we playing a 3-5-2 with 2
one centre-back?
With one centre-back, number 1, and then 2 other centre-backs that are left-backs are both left-footed, and we're playing left-back with a right-footed. Like, it just did not make any sense to me. Now, obviously, Lavigne came out second half. We completely changed the formation. I think we went 4-4-2 in the end. And then Lavigne had probably the best second half he's ever had. I thought he was absolutely immense second half. And I thought, I thought we deserved our 2 goals. I mean, if the referee was going to give a shitty penalty decision in the first half to them, I mean, if he didn't give that, you know, I don't even want to know what's going to happen. What was going to happen? Honestly, I just thought it was absolutely shocking refereeing. It wasn't a penalty. I don't think ours was a penalty, but
No,
there's
ours was
certainly
definitely a
not penalty.
leveller up from the referee because
Oh,
ours wasn't a penalty either.
I think the fact that the referee gave that knew that he had fucked up first half.
Well,
but what I don't get is why did the referee not go over to his linesman? I'm not saying the linesman had a better view of it. He didn't, but it was just absolutely abysmal refereeing. But then Super Charlie Austin, what can I say? In other news, well, him scoring. In other news, water is wet and grass is green. I thought that was an absolutely sensational header, and it was literally on a plate for him. We deserved that, and I feel so sorry for Hepburn Murphy, because on another day, I think that would have gone in the back of the net. 9 times out of 10, I reckon he would have scored that. But yeah, it was a bit of a shame. But at the end of the day, a point gained rather than 0 points. You got to take it some days. And fair play to Gunning. He saw what was wrong at halftime. He completely changed the game. And I think we've got a couple of good special players in there. I think that Kane looks a player. He really does.
Catching up on what's going on in the comments thread. Paddy's tweeted in nice and early. Evening, Paddy. Happy birthday, Mr. Nick, a Swindon legend. I hope Ben is not ill from all that freaking out over transfer activity. And we do have some breaking transfer news coming through on Twitter. As Daz tweets in to say, as long as we keep Pyman, Townend Taylor and Woody the coach, it will be a successful window. To which Oliver has already replied, sadly, Whitney Town have put in an approach. So we may be soon to lose Townend Taylor. Paddy says their penalty was criminal. Blake Tracy gets hit by the ball and head whiplash like it being hit by Mike Tyson, and the ref gives a penalty. We were defo getting a penalty after that to even up his error. Daz is then offered to put in a rebuttal offer. He'll match the offer plus a pasty to keep Oliver in place. Stephen's asking.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I think I actually said this to Steve on Saturday. I don't know who it was I said it to. It was either my 2 other mates or it was Steve. But I did see, when I did see the replay, I did think it might have come off the Gillingham defender's head. But I wasn't entirely sure because it happened so fast. But yeah, it was really hard to see, really.
It was.
I wouldn't have been surprised if the final touch did come off his head.
I think it's one of those that they say, let the dubious goals panel decide, but there'll be a brave man to take it off Charlie Austin.
I was going to say, but it was like when Owen Doyle came back a couple of years ago, and then the goal was given when he played against Exeter, and it was absolutely fucking nowhere near him. And he still claimed the goal because Sky Bet had a bet on him, to score the first goal or something like that. So you're not going to take it off Charlie Austin, not that easily anyway.
Joe, let me come to you next and ask you for your take on the game. But also, as it's very much been in the discussion already, I'll flash Kev's comment back up there. In the last 2 home games, me and Mark were discussing off camera, we've had 1 referee knocked out and 1 referee that's forgot how to do his job. So I'd like your take on the game, but also we do mention the standard of officiating at this level, but is it been particularly poor this season, do you think?
Definitely poor. I don't even know what to say about the ref, to be honest with you. Well, definitely the penalty was given to us as a pity penalty because he knew that he'd made a mistake in the first half. But it's shocking. It shouldn't be allowed, should it? I mean, there's got to be somebody somewhere who says that, you're clearly not doing what you're paid to be doing. I mean, how much does the League 2 ref get per match?
Well, if anyone's going to know that, that's a Mark or Woody question, that. They're both frantically now typing away. They're like, fucking hell, Joe, you didn't prep us for this question.
No, but it's true, isn't it? Because, if you're playing, non-league or, county or whatever, it was 25 quid, wasn't it? It was sort of but what do they get paid for in League 2? Because surely there's a standard that somebody is mediating somewhere. Surely.
I would agree.
There's got to be, if they're making those sorts of decisions, there's got to be somebody somewhere who actually says, actually, no, you're a bit of a shit ref. You can't do this anymore, or there's got to be somewhere. So why is it continued? I know it's League Two and everything else, but still, there's a standard, and I don't, if you were doing a shit like. If you were not good at your day job, what would happen? You would go on a disciplinary, and ultimately, they would manage you out of the door. Why aren't they doing that in reffing? It's bonkers. Anyway, match-wise, yeah, it was good. Started okay. Let's forget the rest of the first half, because most of us in the DR was like that. But then second half, fair play to Gunning. He did a fantastic job with the substitutions at half time, very much that, like Rich said, and yeah, it was exciting. The second half was just exciting football. We looked connected, we looked a force to be reckoned with. It was entertaining, it was exciting, it was amazing. That's it in a nutshell. I can't really say anymore.
I think you've described it perfectly there.
Yeah.
Woody, as we were saying, so when you're 1-0 up so early, it's a long time to hold a lead, but to throw it away in the way it happened, I think Rich described it in like obviously the penalty's not a penalty, but the other two goals are just shambolic defending. But as fans, there's nothing you like to see better on the same than a late comeback, and possibly could have even gone on to win.
Yeah, I think the late comeback papers over the cracks a little bit. I'm going to be a bit negative here, actually, to be honest. I think, even leading up to the penalty, the defending was shocking anyway. They probably deserved a goal just from that. There is no way, that we should be conceding 3 goals in 12 minutes. I'm sorry. That shouldn't be happening regardless of whether the referee's a good standard. Even if I look at the goal that came from the set piece, what was that, a third goal, I think? Their third goal?
The free kick.
Yeah.
It's fucking awful.
The defending there, I don't think there was any defending there. It was literally that guy did what we expect Charlie Austin to be able to do.
But does that stem from Rich's earlier point that we were playing? I know it's a set piece, so it's slightly different, but essentially we were playing a setup that had 3 defenders or 3 centre backs that you would expect to deal with that kind of thing, but only 1 actual centre back.
Well, I thought about this at the beginning, but I don't think it was the formation and the system that's conceded those goals. I think, we let them through in midfield, but we didn't change too much in midfield. In terms of the system in midfield was the same. But for me, one-on-one defending doesn't change, regardless of whether you're a left-footed centre-back or a right-footed centre-back. If you're one-on-one defending, that doesn't change. I kind of get Blake Tracy got hit in the head. Okay. He also did have his arms in the air, which suggests to me that he's turned his back. You put your arms in the air, you give the referee no decision, no real decision. If he can't see it properly, he's going to assume your arms are in the air, so it's hit your arm. Every referee will tell you that, regardless of what level it is. We've got to remember that, yes, they are appalling, but we've got to remember that these referees now don't get the VAR help that the arguably the better referees get. It's probably the most reverse system in the world. It's kind of like the better referee you are, the more help you get. It's kind of but I do agree with Joe. The second half one was it was a pity penalty. He's only given that because of he might have even looked back at half time. I don't know, or maybe he wasn't sure. I was sat in the Arcles. I looked down at the lino. I think the lino was saying he wasn't sure. So I think that's why the referee's gone with his decision. And I think realistically there were probably too many players in the way of the lino. But as I think we said in the chat, and obviously Nick, and I'll let Nick take the credit for what he said at half time, but it's, Gunning said if he sees it not working, he'll change it. It is a bit Football Manager-esque, isn't it, at the moment for Gunning, in terms of, he could just change it. He's got nothing to lose. Would he have done that as a permanent coach? I'm not too sure he would have. But fair play to him. fair play to the lads. We pulled it back and we managed to keep it when we got one when Khan got sent off.
Which, by the way, absolutely needless red.
Yeah. I think given the level of refereeing in that game, I think I generally think another referee might not have bothered. But it's yeah. I think there were two players behind him, so it's not like he's dragged him back or anything. I think the player, if you look at the replay, the player's kind of bent over, and that was at 49. I can't remember what his name was, but he fell over more times than he touched the ball. He was almost a bit like an Anthony Grant type model. You know, he knew exactly what he was doing every time a player was anywhere near him. And Gillingham were relying on that. They scored from a set piece, so they were looking for set pieces all the way through the second half. But yeah, you know, it showed a bit of character from the lads that are in there. I hope that they carry that character forward. Unfortunately, we're going to talk about this later, but I still think it proves me right. We're talking about Angus MacDonald leaving, and then we've all of a sudden conceded 3 goals in 12 minutes. You know, I'm not a big MacDonald fan, but you take a starting 11 centre back out who's currently on a clean sheet and don't replace him, you're causing yourself some troubles. So, but yeah, it was. If I was a neutral, I'd have bloody loved the game. Because even after it went 3-1, you know, it was actually still quite a good game for the neutral. But yeah, I think I'm disappointed with the draw. I never looked to go, oh, they did well to come from 3-1 down, because we shouldn't have been 3-1 down in the bloody first place.
No.
So well done for coming back, but I'm sorry, but that's
Shouldn't
2
have been in
points
that
dropped.
situation.
Yeah, that's 2 points dropped for me.
Just to keep everyone in the loop on the currently active transfer negotiations, Oliver said that if he switches the pasty for a Balti, it's a deal, and Daz has asked chicken or lamb. Nick, let me come to you next. Again, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Liam says, very sensible question, do you think we underestimated Gills?
No, not at all. I think Gunning got the setup completely wrong. Playing 3 at the back just didn't work. It left Khan totally isolated in midfield. You had Iandolo, Williams, and Lavinier over on the left in a little bunch in getting in each other's way half the game. So that didn't work. In fairness to him, he changed it before half time. He went to a back 4, and we started to get a bit of control on the game. With regard to the goals, yeah, the first one was absolutely shocking. I listened to the Gills podcast, their review of the game, and they said how any team can let a 6'4" player run 30 yards on a free header was absolutely criminal, and they were correct on that. And I do quite agree with one thing that they did say. Let's give the guy a bit of credit who hit the free kick in. That was an absolutely superb ball right into the centre of the box. Very hard to defend against. Yes, we should have cleared it. And throughout the game, we hardly won a header. So that was a problem through the game. As regards to the referee, yeah, the first penalty was absolutely shocking. The penalty we got, and I think it's this thing with what the hell is the handball rule nowadays, because it did hit
exactly what Dan
his
asked
arm.
as well.
So, to me, he was right in giving a penalty. It hit the guy. He couldn't get out of the way. There's nothing he could do. But under the current rules, it's a penalty. We got a bit of luck with Charlie taking the kick and squirming that in. I mean, that was like, heart in mouth job. But throughout the game, I absolutely loved the game. Kieran was sat with me, and at half time, we were actually very, very relaxed. And that's the most relaxed I've ever been with Swindon 2 goals behind at half time. And we were confident that we would get back in the game. And we called it, and we said the 3 that he took off is exactly what we said. That's the 3 he needs to move and change it. And the only difference, we said he would bring on Darcy, but he brought Shade on. So I think it was there for all to see. And as you said, fair play to Gunning. He made the change, and yes, we could have won it in the end. Would that have been a bit of hard luck on Gills? But again, their podcast, they were quite realistic in saying that we're a better team than they played recently, and they were basically hanging on. We had something like 71%. I don't know, we go on about possession or everybody hates it.
Well, there you go.
In something like 74% in the second half. So yeah, it was. Yeah, I guess you could say we should have won it with that sort of possession, but we got out of jail, and at the end of the day, a point was a good point. The other thing I'd like to just say is I was really pleased to see Minton's however many minutes he had on. To me, and I posted it earlier, we need to tie that lad down with at least another 2-year contract. He is going to, well, to me, he's a really good player now. He's, what's he, 19? He is going to be a hell of a player. So, I wouldn't be too disappointed if he was in the squad. We seem to be signing young players from elsewhere, and we've got young players in our squad. Well, let's use them. Let's use them. It might be a risk, but to me, let's use them.
Mark, let's bring you in, because I know, again, off camera, we were talking about player pathways.
Yeah, I just find it a bit strange that, I know we don't have a reserve team, and I know there's the whole associated cost that goes with having one, and that's really the reason why we don't at this level any longer. But I do find it strange that you have these youth players or younger players in the squad, and we're loaning them out for 1 month here and there to Torquay or to Bromley or wherever. And I'm kind of thinking, well, if we're bringing in young players, I'm trying to see what value they're getting out of that. If they're ready for like the first team now, then we should be maybe encouraging them into the team with a few minutes and cameos, like we did in the Johnston's Paint Trophy, and perhaps like we did with Minton at the weekend. It's like, if we're comfortably up, then blood these young players in, give them 15, 20 minutes to get confident playing in front of a sizable crowd. To help them actually get into the team and maybe stake their claim with a good performance. Minton's done nothing wrong in any of the cameos that I've seen him in this season. He hasn't had many, but he's not put a foot wrong. So my argument is, if Angus MacDonald did go, why would we not take a gamble on one of our own? I just wanted to come back to Liam's question and answer it a slightly different way, because he asked whether or not we underestimated the Gills. I don't think we did. I think they underestimated themselves. I think they dropped to 5 at the back far too early in the game and literally invited the pressure on. And based on how the first half finished, I think that was a bit of a faux pas by their manager. If they'd have kept their shape and kept the attacking play going in the second half, they might actually have gone on and scored a 4th goal, which would have made all the difference to the result. As it was, they allowed us to get back into the game and then panicked based on, I would suggest, their current position in the league. But player pathways, Fifey, you're right. I think, we do need to start, if we've got a squad of players, why aren't we using them more often? Why are we shipping them out and not, integrating them in more frequently?
No, absolutely. We'll obviously come on to transfers and that in the second half of tonight's episode, but we've had this comment here from Steve. Should we read anything more into Ellis and Johnny being taken off and MacDonald not making the squad? Busy day at SM1 tomorrow. We will certainly be covering that and so much more in the second half of the episode. Let's just talk about a few other little bits from the game. Well, it was kind of mentioned there, MacDonald not in the squad. Austin with the captain's armband. Rich, do you see that being the situation, especially now Gladwin's gone for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think it looks that way. I think with obviously MacDonald being left out of the squad, I think earlier, it was reported that it was due to disciplinary reasons. So, I mean, if that's the captain...
There's a shock. Swindon have someone with poor discipline.
Yeah. If that's the captain's example, then I personally think he's trying to force a move. If that's the reason why, I mean, why else would he skip training? Do you know what I mean? There's already heavy reports that he is moving on. I just can't understand really why else he would miss training. I personally thought he was already on his way. Apparently, he was seen leaving the county ground on Saturday. I think all of us thought that he was saying his goodbyes, but I saw on his Instagram this morning that he was on his way to training with Morgan Roberts. So clearly he hasn't gone yet. But I do think even if McDonald doesn't go, but I do think he will. Even if he doesn't, I still think Charlie will keep the armband for the rest of the season. I did think Johnny was going to have the captain's armband on Saturday, to be honest, because he has been captain this season. But
Yep.
it's a no-brainer to have Charlie as captain, to be fair. I don't particularly like seeing strikers be captains, but I think in this scenario, in this case, and the experienced head that Charlie is, I think he can get away with it. And he showed by example on Saturday, and that's the way you need to do it, really. In terms of seeing Ellis and Johnny come off at halftime, I'll be really honest with you. It didn't actually, until I saw that comment, I didn't really think too much of that. But I think Ellis will go. I don't think Johnny will.
Okay.
I think the only reason with Ellis is because it's been so much reported during this whole transfer window, and I'd kind of be surprised now to see if it hadn't been done. Otherwise, the rumours would have just been completely blown out of proportion now.
Do you think?
But the fact that
Rich, sorry, I was going to say to you, do you think, because I know with some of the other players that we have let go, like Reed and Gladwin, they were coming to the end of their contracts with 6 months left, so we've decided to cash in. I agree. I don't think we're going to do that with Johnny Williams. I'd be very surprised if we didn't try and keep him and offer him a new deal.
Oh yeah, I know. I think so, and I think I think he'll do the exact same as what he did last season. I think he'll wait until the season's coming to a close. If Swindon are looking to get promoted again, which hopefully we are, I'd like to think that he'll probably try and make a decision then. And you know,
it wouldn't surprise me. Sorry, I was just going to on that literal point, and I'll let you finish, Rich. It wouldn't surprise me if there's been sort of a discussion with Johnny, and maybe there's an agreement similar to what we're assuming there is with Charlie, that if we go up, we get another year.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's really tough, and that would be really tough on us if that was the case. Because say we didn't go up, and we lost two experienced heads like that, in Charlie and Johnny, then who are we getting next season? Like, do you know what I mean? I think that'd be really, really tough on us if we're basically playing Russian roulette there. But I do think that is the case, though, mate. I really do. I think that is what is happening and what will happen. And
I mean, Johnny may decide to stay because he said himself in interviews he's playing more football than he's ever played. So even if we don't go up, he may still decide to stay. Yeah,
possibly. And you know, I thought it was the complete right decision to take Johnny off. I'm on Saturday, by the way. I thought he was lazy, just lazy. Like there was a ball literally 2 yards in front of him, and a player that was 5 yards behind him still got the ball before he did. Like. I was just, it's. I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I would keep Johnny hands down because on his day, and like he did in the first minute on Saturday, that is what he can do. His vision and his awareness is superb most of the time, but he has those times where he's just so lazy.
No one can be perfect all the time, can they, Rich?
No, they can't. No, they can't. But criticize them when they. Aren't playing good, and I think that was the right decision.
Yeah, all three subs were correct. That was 100% the correct decision. It stood out an absolute mile that he needed to change those three. Simple as that. No, nothing to do if they're going to stay or go. They didn't perform. Simple.
Yeah, I really hope that we don't keep Jeff Cott either. I thought he was fucking awful on Saturday. I thought, why was it? I didn't even understand why he was even on the pitch.
I mean, I'm throwing it out there, and me and Mark had this exact same conversation before anyone else logged in. And I know, you know, it's been kind of a jokey thing across the whole season. But again, we can only assume that the intricacies of the deal. But for what I imagine he's probably being paid, I would rather send him back to Plymouth and just let Adeloy sit on the bench.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I just don't think Jeff Cott's really offering us what we need him to be offering us.
Mark, let me. Oh, sorry, Rich, carry on.
No, that's it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Okay, Mark, I just want to flash this comment back up from Dan, and the end bit interests me. And of course, if anyone else wants to jump in, please do. So he mentions about the youngsters and looking at our own talents. Minton did very well, looked very composed. Who else of Town's youngsters? I'm never going to be able to get this right. Is it Dworzak? It's
Dvorak,
a
yeah.
player that a lot that I know Richard spoke about and you spoke about. We've seen little bits of Kanu as well. I saw him against Grimsby when I was down. Obviously Minturn, Cal Meadows, another one.
Win
Parsons still fits in that bracket a little bit. Although I think kind of more people are swaying towards the others over Parsons now. But is there any names there that you're genuinely excited to see what the next maybe 2 years holds for them?
No, I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, Minton's probably the one that's the closest to regular first team action. I don't think Dvorak's that far behind. Maybe Kanu's maybe nipped in ahead of him recently based on his cameos and performances. But those three, without a shadow of a doubt. And I think we also saw Wyn Davis make his debut in the JPT earlier this season as well. And I think he looked very competent and comfortable on the ball. But again, that's JPT football. It's not league football. And, he is another player that I would like to see come into the fold as the season goes on. Because I'm sure as eggs are eggs. I mean, we do have quite a young squad. And I know that there was a lot of talk about the makeup of the team and how many of our 30 players are actually youth players or, younger players. With a few injuries, which this time of year going up towards Easter are fairly common, we may have to lean on them to come into the team and perform. And I'd like to see these guys get the opportunities. If we are genuinely talking about player pathways and showcasing our own talent to make money, then there's nothing better than seeing one of your own come in, do well and move on. Obviously, everyone, on social media regarding Scott Twine's first goal for Burnley, there was a great buzz from the Swindon faithful saying, no, fantastic. And you want to see your own players go on and have very successful careers. And the only way you're going to do that is by getting them into the team and making a success of them. Now, I'm hoping,
use it, say it, showcase the talent.
Showcase the talent, yeah, absolutely. You've got to say it because it's the vision that's there. It's what we're doing, and if that's what we're saying we're doing, we've got to do it. Yeah, it's an interesting one, Mo, Dabra, Toby, because he's ripping up trees where he is right now, and I'm not sure whether or not he's going to get into the Swindon team playing in the wing-back position where we seem intent on playing him. I think by his own admission, he considers himself a pivot or a central defensive midfielder, and Poundland Kante to go with my Poundland FBT comment that I'm going to make later on. But he is he's very much in that mould, but he's never been played in that position. So whether he's considered too small or not, I don't know. But yeah, I think we have got some talent coming up through for the first time in as many in as many years as I can remember, and we're getting glimpses of them into the team. Just like to see a bit more, see what they can do, especially Minton and Dvorak at this moment in time.
Okay. Joe, I'd like to link into two comments that have been made from the previous panelists. So Rich was discussing Charlie Austin as captain, and Mark mentioned social media. So that brings me nicely on to, again, I think Rich said, criticise when warranted. Our fan base, at times, even we all call our own out. And some of the stick Wakeling was getting, I know Woody has plenty of feeling about this as well. But the fact that the Austins had to come out and kind of defend him, Joe, it's just borderline ridiculous on our own part, isn't it?
I think so. Jake Wakeling, he'll chase a packet of crisps, I think somebody wouldn't said, if it was going along the field. He didn't deserve that. I don't think, again, he's very young, isn't he? And I think wasn't he pegged as the next best thing for town? And then he had his purple patch, and then it's been a little bit quiet. And then, Jeff Cook was brought in, and he was the next big thing. And then, of course, Austin's back. But I think we've just got to give him time. I think he's got an exciting career ahead of him. I don't agree with what people were saying on social media, and I think it was good that Charlie Austin stood in, because he has got the respect of probably 95% of our fan base. So for him to actually stand up and say that, how hard Jake Wakeling actually worked, I think, I don't know, it's a sad thing, isn't it? Unfortunately, social media, it's just not used in the right way. Unfortunately, it's used to just make the next scapegoat. Like since Ben Gladwin's gone, they needed to pick on somebody, and unfortunately, it just looks like it's Jake, and it's a bit shit. As for Charlie being captain, I think it was good. I think he's got that. I said it earlier on OSC, so I don't want to repeat myself too much. But
No, that's fine. I think we attract slightly different audiences at times.
Yeah, he's got that. He's got that presence, which I think has naturally brought camaraderie back into the squad, where the players have got so much respect for him and his experience. I think that him to be captain is the right move. Potentially Williams, I don't know. No, but I think we looked more together. We've looked more together since Austin's come back, and I think it's possibly a very right and clever move to put him to give him the captain's armband. I think I would say.
Before I let Woody have his say on this as well, Michelle's been in touch on Twitter regarding your appearance on Fools Tonight, Joe. She'll be off to Crawley soon, mark my words. Happy birthday to Nick. Here's to many more, and I hope you had a lovely day celebrating. Love, the Malmesbury housewife. Woody, as we welcome Craigie Wagey to the panel, do you want to have your say on the whole unnecessary treatment of Wakeling?
Yeah, and it's always going to sound biased coming from me, though, isn't it? That's the problem. But quite frankly, the people that are saying that, coming out with what they're saying, I don't think they even like football, to be totally honest. Yeah, and I think I said this in our chat the other day. I think the problem is a lot of people got carried away with his kind of purple patch and all of this kind of stuff where he got like 5 goals in 7 games or whatever it was. But what that lad offers off the ball, he won the penalty from that drive and run on Saturday. I think the problem is, and I think we have this problem with a lot of Town fans, and probably a lot of fans all over, as Craig will probably correct me on, is
Craig always sticks up for Town fans. He never calls them out.
Because we have this label of a forward, you instantly think they must score 55 goals a season, and otherwise they're a failure. I don't think it's a case of Wakeling being the new scapegoat. I wouldn't go as far as that. I just think that people are just going like, oh, he's not scoring, so he's not that good. We've now got Charlie Austin who's scoring the goals, and but the amount of work that Wakeling does off the ball, he's still within the assists and the key passes, which is obviously came in just before expected goals. When it comes to the new stats, key passes that he makes and that he gets involved with. And I know we may talk about what Gunning and what Lindsay knew, but there's got to be a reason that he's probably the only forward player that started every single game. Or nearly every single game, so you can't undermine that for quality in terms of how much he actually offers us. And there isn't another player like him in our squad. There isn't another player like him, and you can use him in different areas and he'll be beneficial in those areas. And this is why I think it was Ben, when Ben was saying that Wakeling should be dropped because he's out of form, not scoring goals. I don't think he ever was out of form. He wasn't scoring goals. But in that period where he didn't score, I think until about 3 weeks ago or whatever it was, in that period that he didn't score, he set up like 4 goals in that period, and nobody batted an eyelid. He won the penalty. Was it the equalising penalty? I think it was away. I can't remember. Was it Barrow? Was it possibly Barrow?
Who
got a penalty.
Who was this?
Wakeling.
Wakeling
won the penalty against Barrow.
Nice to know you're engaged, Rich.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I just think the people are talking absolute bollocks, to be honest. I think Gladwin is a whole different conversation because Gladwin came with a reputation as to how good we know he could be. So like last season, I still stand by it. He was fucking dreadful last season. This season, he's been a lot better. I didn't scapegoat him last year because genuinely every time he was on the ball, he was crap. But this season he was a different player, and I took my hat off to him. It's but Wakelin's nowhere near that type of thing yet. This lad's 21 years old. It's his first season in full professional football, and I know people will say you're either good enough or you're not. But we got a lot more problems around other areas of the field than we have with Jacob Wakelin not scoring goals. And he will. He'll score goals this side. He'll learn so much off Charlie Austin. I'm not going to lie. I think if we do send Jeffcott back, which I don't think we do now, I actually think that would benefit Wakelin, because I think Jeffcott and Wakelin are almost like an obstruction to each other now. I think it didn't work on Saturday with them two together. So for me, as I said a couple of weeks ago, when we were asked the question, should we keep Jeffcott or should we not? That was fundamentally one of the reasons why I said I didn't want to keep Jeffcott, because I genuinely think he would just block Wakelin's development by playing him. So, but people will come out and give their opinion on what they think of Wakelin. Opinions are like orgasms, Fifey. You can have one if you want, but mine's the most important. They can crack on.
Paddy's tweeted in saying the Wakeling stuff was bang out of order, just didn't get it. Go on, Mark, what were you going to say there?
I just checked the stats for scorers and assists for Town this season. So obviously Johnny Williams is current top goal scorer with 8. Jacob Wakeling, second top goal scorer, along with Luke Jeffcott with 5. But from a creativity point of view, Hutton and Wakeling are the top providers with 5 assists each. So, he's providing an awful lot for the team rather than just goals.
Craig, welcome. You've joined just at the right time. We've not quite moved on yet. So please offer your thoughts on what happened at the weekend.
I pretty much agree with what Mark was saying. I think by half time we were there for the taking, and Gillingham didn't seize on that. And I think if they had done in the second half, they didn't have to go gung ho, just carry on playing as they were. They'd have turned us over. I truly believe that. Even though we did make the changes in the second half, the momentum was with Gillingham. So I think they would have learned a lot about themselves, and I think Neil Harris would have learned a lot from that as well. Trying to sit back on a 2-goal lead. All right, you're away from home, but against other teams that might have worked, but not against us with the creativity we've got in our team and how quick we can counter attack and everything. We showed in that second half what we couldn't do early on in the season when teams did those 2 banks of 4 at the back and making it incredibly difficult for us. We showed that we could get through that, albeit we had a bit of luck with Austin's penalty, but yeah, and like with Woody said, I'm disappointed. For me, it was more 2 points dropped, to be fair. We would have gone on to win the game had Khan not got himself needlessly sent off. It was a silly challenge. All right, it might have been a soft one, but he was. I said in the chat that this game's going to have a sending off the way our players work. So they were very riled, and when you're already on a booking, you've got to be careful, especially sort of in the centre of the park there where all the action is. And unfortunately, due to what Khan did, as much as he had a good game up until then, I think it cost us the win. But all right, yeah, we came back from 3-1 down, but I'm still disappointed it was just the draw in the end. But yeah, obviously, fair play to Gunning for the changes he made at half time. That did make a difference. But I don't, people are saying he's a future manager. No, he's not. He's not a future manager. He's a good coach. All right, yeah, he's had a win and a draw, but he is basically, like what he was saying earlier, playing football manager, isn't he? And the way he speaks to the press and everything, he got riled with Andy Hall's very sort of tame questions that you come to expect from BBC Wilts. And clearly he was riled by that with his quite petulant answers, to be honest with you. As funny as we might find his press conferences, I thought it was quite disrespectful how he spoke to Hawes when really he was just asking genuine questions that the fan base were asking. So if if people think he's going to be a manager, I don't think so. But
I actually prefer it. I actually like it. I've got to say I think that's just his character. To be fair.
I agree with you, Rich. His press answers are quality.
Yeah.
It's such a change it's such a change from the bog standard, straight down the middle, no answer.
Exactly, because
there's a difference between answering it in a certain way and just flat out being sarcastic, and that thank you response. Yeah, it made me giggle, but
so we've got Lindsay answering questions, we've got Gunning answering questions. What we actually want is something kind of here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. I found his press conferences funny as well. But like I say, quite a few of our fans are saying he's a future manager. But no, I don't think so.
If you think Jody Morris's press conferences are going to be much different to Gunning's, I think,
let's let Jody Morris actually be officially appointed at some point.
Well, yeah, we don't. Well, I haven't seen a Jody Morris press conference, so I wouldn't know. Yeah. I judge people on their own merits, Rich.
Yeah.
So
Easter Sunday, Craig.
That's fair. I can tell you though, I was watching a few of his from Sky Sports and stuff like that, and I wouldn't say he's quite on Gunning's level, but
that's what I mean. It's a happy medium, isn't there?
Yeah, I don't know, but
he's got slightly more credentials to be able to do it as well.
Well,
that's it. You look at Di Canio's. He had the arrogance because he was able to back it up with wins and everything, wasn't he? So there's a difference there. Sorry, Fife. Could I just say about Wakelin? With the fans' reaction, it does seem harsh to me. But we have to be careful from letting people criticise him to saying that people can't criticise him. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. And I think, hold on. You look at us, every single one of us on this panel, we've dug out a player this season, and we could quite rightly be accused of doing what Swindon Town fans have done to Wakelin in the last few days. Now, I thought it was harsh. I don't think it's necessary. He gives us so much more than what Jeffcott does. And, he deserves a place. And also, we have to remember he's being played out of position a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So if he were, it's a shame, what he's saying about Wakelin's development being stunted by Jeffcott. Well, I think it's going to be stunted in part due to Austin, because he needs to be playing where Austin is, unfortunately. But obviously, Austin's going to get us the goals. But
in principle, I agree with your point, and I know you've not long got in from work. So what I would advise on that is, if you get the chance to go back and watch OSC that Joe was on earlier, I think it was the lad who actually looks a lot younger than I thought he was from the advert. He made a very good point when he was asked about this. He said you can criticise if it's founded on something. So he said, if you wanted to criticise Wakeling for not scoring the goals he was scoring, then that's a factual criticism that, some might see it unfair, but it's a criticism that's based on something. If you want to criticise Wakeling for not working hard for the team, that's wrong. You cannot criticise him for his work rate, his endeavour, and what he brings.
Exactly. I agree. Like I said, he offers more than just goals and the assists. His goals and assists tally is pretty decent, to be fair. But yeah, he's always, I've always been a fan of Wakelin, and I think the criticism is harsh, but and I know what he said earlier, that I'd say it's every fan base it's like it, and football is about opinions, unfortunately. And when you're a professional footballer, rightly or wrongly, you get trialed by social media. Although I do think that the thing about him taking the ball off the penalty spot was wrong, as if he was being being arrogant by wanting to take the penalty, when clearly he was doing that to stop the Gillingham players from putting off Austin. I think that was wrong, and quite rightly, that's what Austin was there defending him about on Twitter. So yeah, it's like, football's a game of opinions, and we've, like I said, every single one of us on this panel have myself included. Earlier on in the season, when people were praising McDonald, I was saying that I thought he was crap, to be honest. But you know, and but that's just my opinion, and I'm entitled to that opinion.
Absolutely.
And Swindon Town fans are entitled to their opinions, but that also means we're entitled to call people out for those opinions as well. And that's the way it works, unfortunately, on social media.
We put ourselves out twice a week to be shot at for what we say, let's be honest.
Exactly. And as long as it doesn't resort to abuse or anything like that. So I don't know if this is the case, but if Wakeling's getting, you know, abuse in his DMs and stuff like that, or abuse on social media, then that's out of order. That's wrong. But if you're being criticised on social media, like, you know, near enough every single professional footballer is in this country, nearly every weekend. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is at the moment. And football is a game of opinions, whether we like it or not.
One more on the game, and Nick, Joe, I'll offer it to you first. But if any of the other gents want to jump in, please do. Going back to a slightly earlier comment that I flashed up from Dan, what are the panel's thoughts on Jake Kane's performance? So, Nick, Joe, either of you want to jump in first?
Yeah, I'll go if you don't mind, Joe. Yeah, he looked pretty assured. Pretty assured. He slotted straight into the game. Yeah, I think he's going to be a massive asset to us. Again, he's 19, 20-year-old or something like that. Yeah, he's obviously going to be quality, and I'd like to see this wonderful left foot free kick taker that they talk about. So hopefully in the games to come that he's going to be a good asset. But just going back to what Craig said, and being quite unusual for this panel, I actually disagree with some of what he said, because we don't really do that. When you said about Wakeling not working together with Austin because they're too similar, they're the same position, I think Austin would do him a world of good. And I think it's Jeffcott that plays more the same position as Austin. So I think with Wakeling and Austin together, that's a good front two. And that leaves Wakeling out in the cold. So I can see, like we probably already said, that maybe Wakeling will stay for the rest of the season, but he's going to be a bit player. And I think Wakeling's going to come off in leaps and bounds, working alongside Austin. And we talked earlier about Austin being captain. It's not ideal having a forward as a captain, but it works for Harry Kane at Tottenham. So why can't it work for Charlie Austin at Swindon? And you watch him through a game, and he is encouraging players. He's talking to players. He's moving players around. He's got the experience, and he knows what he's doing on that score. And again, like Craig said, he defended Wakeling with the penalty incident, with the idiots that were calling him out for it. So, yeah, to me, Austin could stay as captain. No major problem. But as I said, I'd prefer like a centre-half to be captain, because he can see the whole game.
Joe? Oh, sorry. Did someone want to... Mark, did you just want to reply to what you were going to say, to something Nick said?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I agree with you, Nick, on the captain up front scenario. I mean, if you look at Harry Kane, he's captain, but how many trophies has he actually won? Just going to throw that one out there.
Are you an Arsenal fan?
One club, Nick.
Yeah, one club.
Joe, let me offer that one up to you as well then, on the debutant. What were your thoughts?
First and foremost, can I just say something about the one with Mark? That way. I don't know if you saw my post. My son actually supports Liverpool and Town. So that's acceptable for an 11-year-old, I'm sure.
We can let 11-year-olds off.
I'll let that one slide.
They'll learn as they get older.
Well, probably. But yeah, so oh no, I liked him. I liked Kane. I thought he looked very, 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 very good. I thought wow, for somebody so young, I suppose that, you know, I don't want to say it because I know I'll just open up a massive can of worms. But I think,
like, to be fair, you've replaced Ben tonight, so you might as well.
Yeah, I also went on OSC and said that I found Gladys Marmite, so I may as well just keep shooting myself in the foot. I think he's going to be good. I think he'll be a good... he reminds me of Gladwin, but not Gladwin that we've just got rid of. So, you know, that's where I think that he. I'm all talked out. I think he's good. I think he's got good prospects.
And that interference is Nick getting his headset and microphone back on. He thinks because he's turned his camera off. But he's not
Nick's
feeling
just-
himself at all.
Nick's just fallen into the room.
That's the red wine.
That's an emergency top up.
Rich up.
How old is that red wine, Nick? Is it like fermented in a cupboard or something?
It's been in my cupboard for quite a long time, so I didn't even know it was there.
Oh my god!
Nick hasn't got a cupboard, he's got a cellar, hasn't he? He's got a wine cellar, of course he has.
It's actually red wine vinegar. He had no wine left.
Okay, if we can move on and to some other news, and I feel it's only right as I'm going to call us for the time being Swindon Town's #1 alternative podcast. That way, being respectful to all the other medias, but also bigging ourselves up because if we don't, who else is going to? So the next topic, hardly breaking. But Jody Morris is Swindon Town head coach. Every single media outlet, apart from the club themselves, have now reported this. We had Sky Sports say about Charlie Austin, I think it was 4 days before the club. TalkSport was supposed to be doing an interview with Jody today. They've put it back till tomorrow and actually said themselves on the EFL debate that they're being told he'll be appointed tomorrow. I think ITV West have announced it. I think BBC have announced it. Everyone except Swindon Town have announced it. So I think we can say Jody is in charge. Rich, are you delighted that it seems to be over?
Wow. Seems to be over. I'll obviously believe it when I see it in terms of Swindon Town announcing it. But no, I'm obviously believe Sky Sports, BBC, all them. They're all very trusted. I'm absolutely buzzing to see Jody be Swindon Town head coach. I think he's his credentials have been as a coach are absolutely fantastic. Obviously coming from Chelsea as well. I obviously was a Chelsea fan, and I say was a Chelsea fan. I'm a Chelsea fan, and
Two club rich.
Two club
I suppose
rich.
you've got the money for it, haven't you?
Mark ain't gonna like that, but still, I don't care.
Mark ain't gonna like it, but I don't care.
I don't care. But to see a Chelsea legend become Swindon Town manager is fantastic. Brings a hell of a lot of experience from a playing side of it, and obviously being second fiddle to another Chelsea legend, Frank Lampard, at both Derby and Chelsea. A lot of people say, Lampard was crap as Chelsea manager and stuff like that, and they're all as good as his backroom staff and everything like that. I thought Chelsea were brilliant under Frank, and given what they had with transfer embargo, etc., But this is a completely different ball game now. Jody Morris is at the helm. He can put his own twist on things. He's in League Two, which is completely different. But when he was Chelsea youth coach, it's sort of a similar setup now, I guess, because we've got pretty much an average age. I don't know what the average age is, but you could probably say of it being about 21, 22. So,
we're doing well to have an average that low with the likes of Johnny Williams and Charlie Austin in the squad.
Well, Johnny's only 28, isn't he?
Is he? I thought he was 29, 30 now.
No, he's not that old.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
He's 30 this year.
No, he's not.
I think he is.
I'm pretty sure he's not.
Well, while you guys
But yeah, but anyway, though, I'm super excited to see Jody Morris be manager, and I think he's gonna do big things with us. Hopefully, pray.
Steve's messaged in. The club is so slow at announcing announcements that tomorrow they're announcing the signing of a young defender from Mansfield called Colin Calderwood.
Oh Jesus! Oh, he is. The last time I checked, he was 27. So, bloody hell.
Rich, you just saying you took the news outlets out there, and even Sky Sports reported Jody Morris as being Swindon Town's new manager.
Yeah.
Now, and lots of other outlets are reporting manager. Now, there's a distinct difference between manager and head coach.
coach. Yeah, absolutely. And I say it. I don't really think when I say it, but I'm just so used to saying manager.
I've got a few
But
panelists like that.
do you know what though? I should be used to saying head coach and stuff like that, because every club that I know bloody has one now, because Chelsea have got that set up as well. So that obviously Graham Potter's head coach there. So, but it's just me growing up on it, and obviously this is a sort of a new system and new situation.
That wasn't me having a dig at you, by the way. It's the media outlets that are using the manager.
It's always the media's fault, Mark.
Yeah, I was just going to say in terms of the media, it depends on how good their journalists are, I guess. And I think I took a dig at being a real journalist the other day, actually. I think, didn't I? Sky Sports, I'm pretty sure. Did they confirm it was manager? Did they?
I think we're looking too much into it. I think they don't really know our setup. They're probably just
who gives a fuck about us, Craig?
but that's the thing. Some people think that manager and head coach are interchangeable. It's the same thing, but obviously it's not. Whereas they're just seeing the new manager, head coach. To them, it's the same thing.
So we kind of covered it on Friday, but if I can go around tonight's panel and take a quick sort of straw poll, do we think this is a good appointment? Joe, I'll start with you.
Oh, yes, I do think it's a good appointment.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Mark?
Yes, based on everyone that we've seen or talked about or seen listed for Swindon Town, I think so.
Rich?
Big name. Hopefully, very good.
Sort of average size name, really, isn't it? Sort of 4 letters and.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny though. I gotta say this though. My mate, he's about the same height as Jody Morris, and he's absolutely buzzing to see a manager come in of that height. So. But yeah, no.
Sorry,
small man,
Rich,
big name.
Is he small?
Not that small. He's about the. He's actually taller than Jody Morris, actually, but he's.
I think she meant Jody Morris, not your friend.
Oh, sorry, Jody Morris is 5'5".
Is he?
He's 5'5". He's an absolute midget.
Oh my god!
In terms of, for a man size, that's quite
For a man.
Rich, what are you doing? Do you want to go back to the old days when someone just shouts Ryan Giggs for no obvious reason? He's a midget for a man.
He's a very small man.
Well, from Rich, let's ask the man who is roughly 5'5" himself. Nick, is it a good appointment?
First off, it's a really good appointment, and I'm so happy that he's actually 2 inches shorter than me. So I'd love to see him coming out with the Fools on a night out, because you lot are bloody giants, and it's like, oh God, here we go. But yes, I'm buzzing. It's an absolutely brilliant appointment. I absolutely love it. We're going to go steaming up that bloody league without a doubt. Just mark my words. But can I just tell you one little story from Saturday? Where I sit, we are right at the top of the Arcles, right in front of the press box.
Okay.
And behind us were Gillingham reporters. Okay. And me and my lad, when we scored the first goal, we turned straight to them and was going, yes, yes. And then within a minute, Dan said to me, why the fuck did we do that? And then it was 2-1, and he's got, don't turn round. Then it was 3-1, and he's sort of buried his head in his hands saying, why did we do that? Just keep your trap shut. And I turned round to him afterwards, and I went, fair play. And then at half time, once we changed formation, and I was going to him 4-3, so close. But fair play to him. He was laughing, he was having the crack with us. But yeah, that was part of a funny day. I had a really enjoyable day. Sat with Kieran. We had a real good laugh, and it was brilliant. Absolutely loved it.
Good. Woody, Jody Morris, good appointment.
Don't know, but your cat's not satisfied, is it?
Oh, he looks pissed off, doesn't he? That cat is pissed off.
That's just his natural expression.
That cat has not been fed today.
He's coming for your job, Pipey.
Well,
I-
he's better looking than me, that's for sure.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I think it's a fucking brilliant appointment. I generally don't think we realise if we get it over the line when the club finally announce it. I don't think some of us realise how big this could be, especially when we're talking about blood in youth and all of that kind of stuff. He's going to be ideal for that. He's done it with younger age groups. He's going to give us those kind of links to academy players and all of that kind of stuff. Just watch his space. Players like Dvorak, Harvey Fox, players like that, they're going to shine under Jody Morris. I almost feel like I'm in the position where I can make that a promise, but I'm not going to.
I just want to. I like to manage expectations where I can, and I think without actually suggesting it, Rich was kind of moving towards like some of the players we could be getting in on loan. Let's just remember the last. I think I put in our WhatsApp group the last group of Chelsea kids we got on loan, which included that one whose name that I said was it Islam Farouz or Israel Farouz or something like that. It was fucking terrible.
Forgot we
So
had him on
just because he's a Chelsea youngster does not mean he's going to be any good.
Yeah, but he wasn't part of the good Chelsea team.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. Craig, Jody Morris, good appointment.
Well, I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but I want to hear more from Rich. But I'm pretty much on board. It's a really good appointment. It's definitely not the cheap option as has been levelled at the club. He's not going to. He wouldn't have. He's going to cost a pretty penny to come in. I think as well. He isn't going to be though the difference for us going up. We still need a lot more players to come in order to make that difference. I think probably 5 or 6 really, but I think realistically we're probably only going to get 3 maybe tomorrow. And if we do, then I think we've got a really good chance of going up with Morris under the helm. And his record's there for developing players. I think, and under Chelsea, the amount of money they've made through developing players and selling on is about 660 million, I believe, in the last 10 years. I mean, obviously, we're not going to make that sort of levels of money. And for one, you need investment in your youth system for a start. But,
they also spent best part of 100 million buying them all back again.
Well, yeah, there is that as well. But they have made a lot of players, who they've sold on through their youth system, and they have made a lot of money out of it. And if you think the amount of young talent that we have produced over the years, considering we invest peanuts into our youth system, with someone like Jody Morris at the helm, that could be not just for developing players in the first team, but developing our whole youth academy system. I'm really, really positive on that, and I just hope that he's signing a long-term contract, because that'll be amazing for the future of the club, I think. And as Woody said, the youngsters that we have got, it could be exciting times for them. And, every single football fan wants to see one of their own make it into the team. So, I think with Jody Morris, I've never been more confident that will happen. So yeah, I think it's a great appointment.
I don't know about anyone else, but it's really weird hearing Craig be so positive.
I have my moments, mate. It's not positive. I just call it realism. But yeah, there we go.
I think the fact as well that he's bringing in Brand as well. From the fact that the club have actually taken his word already to kind of go, I want this coach in with me. Let's pay the compensation to get him out of a contract. It's actually quite nice to hear that we're almost paying money to get somebody else in from a coaching point of view. I know Jody was out of work, but I think I'm going to assume it's all Dean McKaylee, this could change his opinion for a lot of fans. If he gets today and tomorrow right, it will change opinion. Probably mine and Craig's, who are 2 of his biggest critiques alone. But it's I'm with Craig on that one. I think bringing those 2 in. I don't know what's going to happen with the rest. I'm guessing Gunning will stay, and I'm guessing Mildenhall will stay. But yeah, I think there is a real big opportunity there. We've got people that have won. I know it's competitions in youth competitions, but they've developed youngsters to have a winning attitude, and I think that will go massively far. Developing youngsters is one thing, to be good footballers. Developing winners is a different thing, and I think that's what we're going to get with those two in charge.
Well, let's start looking ahead to tomorrow and transfer deadline day, which should finally be Jody Morris Day as well. What exactly is everyone expecting? It kind of got mentioned in passing earlier, but the news that that we've seen, there's been comments made already, but there's been a report out in the last sort of 20 minutes, half hour or so, that Hibs are weighing up a move for Johnny Williams. Is the report. So everyone was fairly confident he wasn't going anywhere. But, I mean, if Hibs come calling, basically what we know is he isn't going to play, surely.
I was just going to say, I wanted to keep this under my hat, and I wanted to be very, very, what's the word? Positive. But I actually did hear last week that Johnny was actually trying to force a move, and he was actually looking to leave Swindon. But I didn't.
Look at Rich suddenly becoming ITK.
But the fact that nothing was actually reported, I wanted to obviously try and put those down. But I did hear this the other week. But obviously, I wasn't sure exactly how true that was.
Well, it is being reported that Hibs are planning a move for Johnny Williams. So let's start with, well, in fact, I put a couple of voting polls out earlier. So let's start that as the discussion topic. Let me see. I should really know how to do this. So I asked Swindon fans, first of all, how many they wanted tomorrow. And the overwhelming answer to that was they want 3 to 5 signings in tomorrow. Now, I think when some of us have spoken, and when we spoke about this in the past, we've not necessarily thought we need that many, potentially. I know Craig's been quite, I'm trying to think of the right word. He's been quite open about the fact that he doesn't maybe agree that the squad is as good as some of the other regular panelists do. So he may well be in that 3 to 5 camp. But it was interesting that most people want 3 to 5, but are only expecting 1 or 2 to come in tomorrow. In the area that's mostly needed, defence by far and away the main area, over 76% of the votes there. And in terms of players leaving, Swindon fans believe, or the small cross-section that had the chance, because it was only a small window for voting, 68.5% of people saying 1 or 2 to leave. Craig, you were late into the panel, so I'll let you kick this one off. Transfer deadline day. I've got certain names flashing along the bottom, and we've just had that news about Johnny Williams as well. Do you want to start with incomings or outgoings?
I'll go with outgoings.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, because of the rumours that we're seeing, you got potentially 4. So Adeloy's definitely one.
He seems to be going to Dundee on loan. Is the one that keeps popping up.
Iandolo and McDonald as well, and obviously with what you just said about Williams. So, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be one of those transfer evenings where it's going to go right up to midnight, who goes where and everything, because that's what happens. It's like domino effect, isn't it? Once one deal happens, then the next happens, and then the one after that. So, but like I said, for me, I felt that we needed 6 signings. We need 2 centre-backs, a left-back. I want Blake Tracy to play at left-back because I think he gives us more balance on that left-hand side. But yeah, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
All right. It's just Rich paused then, and I thought he'd frozen.
I'm a good actor, mate.
Yeah, that's good stuff, mate. Yeah, well done. That was like a dramatic pause, wasn't it? But yeah, I think so. Yeah, if those four go out, I don't want Williams to go. To be honest, and this will surprise you. I don't want McDonald to go unless we have someone come in his place. Iandolo, I'd be sad to see him go because I honestly think that his best place, as I've said time and time again, is in midfield. He's not a left back. He's not a left wing back. We've seen him on that left hand side. He's just not. That's not his position. But I really think he could still do a job for us in midfield. So I think those will be the outgoings. I can't think that there'll be anyone else unless we get a bid for them. I mean, there was rumours about Khan earlier on in the season, but I can't see us unless we got a stupid bid getting rid of him. In Cummins, I mean, I don't know anyone in particular off the top of my head, but like I said, I think we need cover on the left back. We don't know what's happening with Devine. I think we need two centre backs coming in. I don't think Brennan is that good. Although saying that, I would like to see Minturn given a chance. He did look solid when he came on. And what about that? Throwing someone in like Minturn, a defender, in a game that was as frantic as that. You know, he handled that pressure well and was very composed and calm. So it seems like he's got quite a sensible head on those young shoulders. So why not blood him and give him a chance? The same really goes for Dworzak and Canoe as well. So I think we need that. We need another midfielder as well to sort of strengthen up that area. So I guess really. So and a backup goalkeeper as well, because you never know. We've had problems with goalkeepers in the past. We don't want to get shot in the foot like that again. So I'd say 5 incomings, but again, it obviously depends on who goes out for me. But yeah, that's what I would like to see. And if we got the right players in, I would be confident of us going up.
It's just to add on that, Craig. I was just going to add, I think we need a winger as well.
I think it depends on what formation we play, though, doesn't it? If we're still playing, if Hutton's still going to be like a right back or right wing back, then do we need to get a winger in? It seems like Sandro's not keen on us having proper wingers in this team. So
either left midfield or right midfield or however you want to be. I think 4-4-2. I think that is the formation we need to get, either 4-4-2 or 4-3-3. So I think it's either one of that. And obviously we've got Hepburn Murphy. Obviously Shade's starting to see a little bit of form. I'm not going to big him up too much, but from what I've seen the last couple of games, he's done okay since coming on. But I do feel as if I don't think Morgan Roberts is quite up to it. I think we need.
I don't think Roberts has been given a proper chance. To be honest, we don't know that. I don't think he has been given a proper chance. But I can't. I agree though. I think 4-4-2 would be our best formation, but I just can't see us bringing in 2 wingers before the transfer window closes tomorrow.
Okay. It will certainly be interesting in terms of the outs. So the rumours are, as we said, I think some got Williams to Hibs, Adloy to Dundee. McDonald, I think, is Burton. There's still the favourites there, and Ellis obviously to Crawley continues to be mentioned. Today, Nick, the club were linked with Malachi Fagan-Walcott of Spurs. Depending on how sensationalist people want to write this up, he's another young player from Spurs. He has got all that Champions League experience that me and Mark laughed about, that equates to about 95 seconds. Obviously, we don't know. I mean, I don't know how much you would know about him. I don't know personally that much. But based on what Craig was saying, would you be concerned if McDonald was to go, we bring this Spurs youngster in? That's a significant drop again in experience.
Yeah. I suppose you think you need experienced defenders, and ideally we probably need an experienced centre half. But we've got Clayton coming back, and he's only young, but he's been absolute class. I say I'm really impressed with Minturn. Now, whether he can cut it for the rest of the season as a regular, we won't know until somebody has the faith and tries. This lad from Tottenham, he's England under 21. international, so he's obviously got some pedigree about him. And obviously we laugh about the Champions League, but if he's good enough to be in the squad, he's obviously highly considered, irrespective of whether he gets minutes on the pitch. So that could be gone. And as Craig said, really, it depends how many players go. I mean, midfield, even if Iandolo goes, as I've said earlier, we've got Darcy. We can recall Aguiar. With Clayton coming back into the middle, Clayton can play further up the pitch. If we brought another centre half in, I think Clayton was brought in more as a midfielder than a centre half. We've got Kane, who's in the mix now, so I don't think we're too bad. So, I would like another winger. As has been said, Roberts agreed he hasn't really been given the opportunity, but when he's come on as a sub, as I talked about the other week, he hasn't made an impact. And if you're going to get anywhere in a side, if you come on as a sub for the last 15, 10 minutes, whatever, you've got to make an impact. And he hasn't done that. So I think a season loan would do him good. It may be top level National League. That would do him good, and then bring him back in. So I'd like to see a winger coming in. But 100%, we need a goalkeeper that is good enough to push for first team and will be available for next season, because we won't have Bryn next season. He's already said he wants to be Middlesbrough number 1 next season. So whatever happens, he's going to be pushing for a high-level League One Championship loan, or he's going to go back to Middlesbrough and fight for that spot. So to me, a keeper is essential.
Rich, I'll just bring you in on the comment that Steve sent up. Do swaps ever happen these days, or is it a thing of the past? What do you think of McDonald for FBT and Williams for McCurdy?
I mean, McDonald for FBT makes sense. Williams for McCurdy would never happen. In fact, probably McCurdy is probably the one that's persuading Williams to come up to Hibs. So I don't think that would ever happen. But, you know, I think they still happen. It'd be interesting to see if we pull one off tomorrow. But I think if there was going to be one, it would be that McDonald for FBT.
Just by the way, the main reason swaps don't happen is because it's better to buy and sell the players, even if you are practically doing a swap, from a financial fair play position, because it looks better on the accounts rather than doing it as a swap. So that's the main reason why swaps don't happen anymore. There's a famous one, I think Juventus and Real Madrid did one where one paid 60 million and the other one paid 65 million for the for players that it was basically like a swap, but because they had 60 million coming in and 65 million coming in on their accounts, they were able to get round financial fair play. So that's the main reason why you don't really see swaps anymore. And the only reason I know that is because I'm a very dull person and I'm interested in that sort of thing.
Okay, let me go round you all then and ask, based on those polls, so Mark, I'll start with you as you appear first on my screen. How many ins are you expecting tomorrow? How many outs? And what area do you need to see us improve most importantly?
Okay, so number of ins, I think I'd like to see at least 4.
Is that based on anyone going out, or is that 4 plus replacing anyone?
No, I think it's going to be 1 for 1.
Okay.
I think if those 4 transfers happen tomorrow that we've already mentioned, if Adloy goes to Dundee, we
won't replace Adloy. Let's be honest. He doesn't feature in the first team, so we won't replace him. No, I agree. And I think if we're going to play with 1 striker and maybe the 2 wingers, as was suggested earlier on, with like Hepburn, Murphy, and Wakeling as the wide forwards, I should say, with 1 striker up front, then you only need Jeffcott maybe on the bench to come on for Austin, and we don't actually need the extra striker in Adloy. So I kind of get why we wouldn't want to, or maybe wouldn't want to replace up front. Ellis to Crawley, that is an interesting one because obviously he's quite versatile. I mean, I know he's not had the best season
this year, and I'm fairly ambivalent if he did move on, even though he is our longest serving player. But yes, we would definitely need to replace in that area, and we certainly do need to get another player in midfield anyway. So probably two midfielders, because obviously we've got to replace Gladwin. And then at the back, I mean, the centre backs. If McDonald goes, then absolutely we need a centre back, but we also need another one in the squad anyway. Because with all due respect, Bowdry's probably not going to be playing football ever again, so we're light there anyway. And obviously Harry's is out long
Harry's
term.
likely to be out for the season.
Yeah, bless him. Lovely chap. Would like to have seen a bit more football from him, particularly as he was just starting to come into his own before the injury happened. Such a shame. So I hope we look after him. But yeah, in the meantime, we do need proper cover at the back. Now, experience to me is one of those sort of weird and wonderful things. McDonald's plays 200-300 games or thereabouts, and he hasn't really set the world on fire. So it's that experience. Is it just the wrong player in the wrong hole, so to speak, or is it or is it more a case that we want a player that's experienced in the type of formation that we're going to play with, the style of football that we're going to play?
Okay, so if you're looking specifically at the centre back situation, then currently you've got McDonald, who's likely to go. You've got Brennan, who the majority, I believe, the majority of us are either undecided or don't particularly rate. You've got Baudry out. You've got Harry's out. You've got Minturn, who everyone wants to give a turn to. And you've got FBT playing out of position. So when I think the experience does come into it, because as great as it would be to give Minturn his opportunity, if he suddenly becomes our number one choice centre-back because we don't replace properly, we've got problems, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think that's something we have got gaps there anyway, because another injury and we'd be even worse off, and we wouldn't even be able to necessarily play three at the back, or if we did, it would be a proper mishmash of raw, yeah, exactly, all raw youth team players literally getting thrown in at the deep end, and that's not really the proper pathway that you want, that we were talking about. So,
yes, Dale makes a good point. I miss Clayton. Sorry.
Yes, well, obviously, yeah, we know, and that's the thing. Clayton hadn't played first team football before coming here, yet no one will bat an eyelid now, having seen him play, 10, 15 games or so, and like what he can offer. And again, this lad from Tottenham, Malachi, looking at his pedigree, he looks a really good fit. He's known to Lavinia, and obviously, I don't know how the setup works in terms of referral fees for players that are already here. But if he's of the right pedigree, and he's as good a player or as capable a player as Lavinia is turning out to be, then yeah, why not? It's the model we're going to go down. In terms of replacement goalkeepers, Craig, a second goalkeeper. I just don't think this model will go that route. I think each season we should be expecting to have a season-long loan goalkeeper that's looking to be developed. I think that's how our model will work, because it'll be more cost-effective. We all know that buying strikers or attacking players into a squad with a budget that has to be managed are the key positions that cost the money. So, although we've recruited well in Bryn, I think after this season, next season, and forevermore, we'll probably be looking at a number one who is a loan and development goalkeeper, and to have a youngster as backup. So I don't think that'll be an area that we'll recruit tomorrow. But two defenders and two midfielders are the areas for me.
Okay, Rich, let's come to yourself.
Yeah. Do you know what I'd like us to go to? I'd like us to actually go out and get an experienced League One player. Experienced League One midfielder. I would say we need to, because I've looked at some of the players that Stevenage have brought in, whether or not they're on loan or whether or not they're permanent. I think they've just recruited unbelievably well, and some of the players that they've brought in, how they're in League Two now. But the only reason they're in League Two is because they're splashing the cash, and it's the same with Stockport. It's the same with Salford. They're splashing.
Gillingham,
cash.
Colchester,
Gillingham, Colchester, yeah, absolutely. Who was it that brought in that long-serving Exeter player the other day? I think it was Colchester, wasn't it? I can't remember what his name was, but he was an unbelievable player for them, an unbelievable servant, and how they even pulled that one off, I will never know. But in terms, and I think that's what we got to do tomorrow. I think because we've lost Gladwin, who was an experienced head, who probably could have been playing in League One himself. You know, I think we need to. I think we need to do that. I think we really need to do that tomorrow, and I think that could be that could probably be our biggest signing tomorrow. If we did that, I'm not saying we're going to do that. Because by the looks of it, we are still looking to recruit young players in terms of Fagan Walcott. And there's no rumour or suggestion that we're even looking at any experienced players within the 2 leagues above. But I think if obviously the amount of players that we have lost in terms of experience, if we do lose Williams, if we do lose McDonald tomorrow, and the fact that we've lost Gladwin, you know, that should be our key focus tomorrow. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But
Nick, let's come to you. What are you looking for, stroke expecting tomorrow in terms of numbers and players?
For me, I still say we need a keeper, and I would like to see the spine of our team: keeper, centre half, centre forward is Swindon players. And that you've got that spine and you can build on. This I sort of disagree with what Mark said about having a lone keeper season after season. As I say, I'd like to be able to bring one in that we can get up to speed and take over for next season, and it's going to be our player. That's one for me. I don't think we are too bad in midfield, to be honest.
You've been a big advocate for giving Darcy more time.
Yeah,
Aguiar back.
We've got Darcy, Aguiar, as you said, Dorzak. If we sign centre halves, Clayton could push into midfield. We've got Kane, we've got Khan. So to me, Williams
could play CDM as well.
Yeah, we've got the mystery man back to fitness is another player coming in. I've even forgot his name now. The fullback from Man U, Divine. Apparently, he's getting back to some level of fitness. He exists apparently, so we're told. So to me, midfield isn't as important. Yes, we need another centre half if nothing else. I say I'm a great fan, even though we've only seen little bits of Minturn. We've got Clayton. Brennan is a bit hot and cold, like McDonald. McDonald's been hot and cold. He has a storming game one week, and then he looks a totally different player the next week. So if he went, would it be a great loss? Probably not. But again, we would need somebody coming in. So that's where I see it. Keeper, excuse me, keeper, centre half, and depending what forwards go, maybe a winger or a wide forward to supplement what we've got.
Okay. Woody?
I don't think we'll bring in a keeper. I don't know what Brand's situation is at the moment.
On the doesn't exist list as well.
I do agree with what Mark was saying. I don't necessarily agree it's the right thing to do, but I do think that is unfortunately the model we will go down now. And it's not really a shy model that we haven't been used to for the last few years. If you think of how many keepers we've had, all of our top keepers have always been pretty much lone keepers. So I don't see that changing. I think it would be good if it did. Don't get me wrong. I don't think, depending on the brand situation, I don't think it needs to be a priority tomorrow. But that does depend on the brand situation. There must be a reason that fella was brought in. We talk about giving opportunities to Minturn and stuff like that. If Brand's fit and ready and heaven forbid Bryn gets injured, why wouldn't we put Brown in? I think Fife, you and I have said it all the way along. We need to replace what goes. Our squad isn't big enough to not replace what goes. I know we want to give youth a chance, and I'm a massive advocate of that. But we can't. I think Mark said it earlier that we can't rely on if one of our key players gets injured, we can't rely on Dvorak to come in and fill that gap type thing. I'm not saying he would. I do agree with Nick. I think it would be nice to see maybe get Aguiar back in, but I do think that we've got, if I could rate them, I'd say we've got, at the moment, if Williams goes, our midfield, we've got quite a few 7 out of 10s. I think it would be quite good to bring in another, slightly, I think, was it Rich that said about bringing in a League One experienced player? I think that would be quite beneficial, or an experienced player. It does make me nervous if we lose McDonald, not to the extent because he hasn't been great, but at the same time, we're then almost reshaping the defence into a very young defence. Tom Clayton, as good as he is, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be able to lead a back four. And there's already talks about him moving up the field. So with Fagan Walcott, if he comes in, that's another youngster we've got on there. Minton's going to need mentoring. These kind of mentor figures are important in football, like regardless of what your philosophy is. That's why we've got that's why we've got players, but that's why players like Austin will do so well, because he'll mentor those around him. So I think bringing in a centre-back will be key if we lose McDonald. I think, we can look, Reed has been replaced by Kane. I was really impressed with Kane. I didn't have a chance to talk on him earlier. I think he's going to be a tidy little player, especially at this level. So I think we're comfortable with that one. I do worry about Hepburn Murphy. I think he's he's got potential, but I'm just worried about his injury proneness, to be totally honest. So I would say that we need an inside forward. If Sade switches it on in the second half of the season, fair play to him. He's looked good the last couple of games. I'll give him his credit where it's due when he's come on. He's looked good, but he still frustrates me at certain points in the game. But I think there was a point where he actually got to where he was supposed to be, and he misplaced the pass on Saturday. But so inside forward, I'd like to see another midfielder come in, but an experienced midfielder. I'm not interested in having another young midfielder come in, and an experienced centre-back. If we get FBT, fabulous. And obviously, if Devine is coming back, with Devine coming back, is it a worry of the fact, are we going to be spending a quarter of a season for him getting fit again? It's he's been out a hell of a long time, so it just goes to show really that we could get 1 or 2 injuries and it could really fuck up the squad. I think, and if Ellis goes, then we will have to replace Ellis, because Ellis is one of those that could play in the holding mid, can play in the attacking mid, can play in the kind of box to box role. He's the only midfielder we've got. I know he's not had a great season, but he's the only midfielder we've got that can play in all 3 positions in that midfield. So it's but I'm not negative about it as such, but I do think we need to replace what's gone.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Craig, you've heard what everyone else has had to say. Where are you? I mean, you started it off at the beginning of the section, but who are you agreeing with? What, is there any other names or positions that haven't really been spoken about that you want to throw in the mix?
It's pretty hard to disagree with anything that Woody just said, to be fair. I'll go again to Blake Tracy. I think it's important that we play him as a left back. You look at the first half against Gillingham. If Blake Tracy was on the left-hand side or left back, they wouldn't have got that cross in for that equalising goal. That's important. But obviously that leaves us with less options as centre-backs. So we definitely need 2 centre-backs. Again, I agree with a lot of what the others have said. Experience does count, especially if you're pushing for promotion, which apparently we are. If you look at it, if Iandolo and Williams goes, we've got nobody who was in that promotion push from last season. And if you think about it, that experience is vital. Obviously, Austin's got that experience, with us, with his first spell with us. But if McDonald goes as well, Gladwin gone, Iandolo gone, Reed gone, it's looking quite bleak when it comes to experience. And you do need experience if you're pushing for promotion. Stevenage have got it in abundance. Orient have got it. I'm sure Northampton probably have. And whoever goes on to win the playoffs will do. And I'm hoping that that'll be us. So we need an experienced centre-back. We need an experienced central midfielder. Ideally, someone who's got a bit of steel, a bit of strength, a bit of aggression. Not an Anthony Grant type, because I think the defensive midfield position will probably be Kane's now, who looked good, as we all said from Saturday when he came on. But yeah, I pretty much agree with what Woody said. Those positions in midfield, because if we do get a couple of injuries, we are going to be short, I'm afraid. And yeah, we could bring Aguiar back in, but is he going to be able to do it? Clearly, he wasn't fancied this season for whatever reason, and I don't think he was given a fair crack at the whip this season either. But he's played. Who's he at the moment? Is it Banbury? He's at the moment.
Torquay is where Aguiar is.
Yeah,
Torquay. Are they in the National South now?
No, in the National, down the bottom end.
Down the bottom. So yeah, he's not playing in a team that's in great form at the moment. So yeah. I think. I mean, that's what I want to happen, and as we've all said already, it depends on who goes. But yeah, we've definitely at least got to replace who's gone out, and that includes Gladwin, because we've had one in, one out for Reed with Kane, but we haven't yet for Gladwin. And if McDonald and Iandolo and Williams go, we need to make sure we replace all them at the very, very least.
Okay, well, for what it's worth, my opinion on this is Adeloy probably will go to Dundee on loan, and he won't need replacing in the squad. Unfortunately, as I've said, I don't think he's been given a fair opportunity, and it doesn't look like he will get one. He may go to Dundee, score lots of goals, come back, and in the summer, Jody may say, okay, well, show me in pre-season what you've got, and we'll go from there. But we'll take that one as it is. McDonald, I think, might go. Ellis, I'd be disappointed if he was to go, especially with Gladwin going. And Williams, I'm still going to say I don't think Williams will go. I'd like to hope not either. As it stands, regardless of the McDonald situation, we need a centre-back, and I would like that to be someone with some Football League pedigree. I think we desperately need, and I've said it all season, and as much as I rate him and as much as most people rate him, Khan is not a holding midfielder. I don't care what anyone says, he is not a holding midfielder. We need a proper, like Craig said, someone with a bit of steel, bit of strength, someone who will tackle, and someone who understands, and this is as close to as I can get to criticism of Khan, someone who understands it's not always about chasing the ball to protect the defence. It's about sitting in that position and making sure it doesn't get past that line. So again, if we could get, maybe this is where, if I'm linking into what Rich said, if we could get a proper League One midfielder, doesn't need to be someone creative. It doesn't need to be someone to get lots of assists for us. I'd be quite happy if our League One midfielder is someone that just sits in front of the two centre backs and tackles everything that comes his way, but doesn't drift off to the wings every 5 minutes. If we could get those two and probably a winger, like a proper winger, someone who will try and beat a man and put a cross in, so that we don't have to rely on just Hutton doing it, or just Lavigne on the other side cutting in and doing it. Maybe it's a left winger is possibly what we need. If we could get those three, I would be delighted, and then replace anyone else that was to leave, would be my personal thought process on it. So those three plus replacing. Before we finish, I'd just like to ask you all one final, again, sort of straw poll question based on what could happen in the next 24 hours. So it's a two-part question. And Craig, as you waited till last, I will let you go first this time. As we finish the episode tonight, where do you think we will finish in the league? And if everything on your wish list happens, where could we finish come the end of the season?
Sorry, say that again, Fifey. It cut out. It did then when you was talking.
So if, as we sit here ending the show with the squad we have, where do you think we'll finish? And if everything that happens on your wish list that you just told us was to happen tomorrow, where could we finish?
I think with the squad as it currently stands, we'd finish 10th.
Okay.
And if we get the players in, experienced players in, and as well as some young talent as well, replace the players who are going out one for one, so to speak, then I think we can make the playoffs. Whether we win it or not, I can't say, because the playoffs are like a lottery. But I think automatics, we need wholesale changes to be anywhere near that. And then, as Woody said time and time again, you need time for those players to bed in, and we haven't got that time. And the top three are starting to get away from us. So yeah, I think 10th as it stands. Playoffs definitely if we get the right recruitment.
Okay, I will go to Mark next.
As it stands, I think we'll be in the mix. By in the mix, we'll be with a clutch of clubs that are pressing to get into the playoff positions, and I'm basing that on the teams that have strengthened to date, and like Colchester have probably got a good chance of coming up the table with their acquisitions. Gillingham could be dark horses as an example, based on what we've seen and how they've recruited. If everything goes to plan and it all goes smoothly and well tomorrow, now in injuries pending, I think we'll be in the mix again, but potentially pushing for third, and that's going to be dependent on our injury record between now and the end of the season, regardless.
Okay, Woody.
As it is now, bearing in mind that we still have Williams, we still have McDonald, we still have Anderlow, still have the mighty Adeloy. I think we will clinch that last playoff spot with that current squad. If my wish list comes true, I'm not going to rule out third place. I do think the top two might be a bit of a stretch, though.
Okay, Rich.
I agree with Woody there. Top two, no chance. Can't see it. Unless somebody does a forest green and almost bottles it again this year. But I don't see that happening.
Orient aren't in the best of form currently.
No, they're not. But I don't really see them bottling. Well, they might bottle top. I mean, Stevenage could, with who they've bought in this transfer window.
And they got 2 games in hand.
They are, yeah. Well, yeah. There you go then. Yeah, I think Stevenage will top it, really. But in terms of us, I think minimum, if we get the players that we need in tomorrow and we keep Williams, then, I don't see why not. We can't go for third place, but I'd like us to minimum get playoffs. And if we don't get playoffs, then I think it's a complete failed season.
Okay. I want to give the birthday boy the last word on the subject. So I will say, with the current squad, based on everything we've seen, I think we can finish in the playoffs with the squad as it is now. Maybe fifth, I would say. And if my wish list was to come in, I think top three is definitely there for us to claim. Nick, final word on this for you?
Going to be really boring and agree with pretty much what most people have said. As we stand now, playoffs, if we strengthen and get it right, with the new management team coming in, top three.
Would just like to say, however this pans out, enjoy deadline day, everyone. We were talking in our group about doing something tomorrow, but we know TSTBL are doing a deadline day thing, so you can enjoy their content, or I'm sure a couple of us will be featuring in amongst the crowd on Lower League Look as well for their deadline day, which was really good fun in the summer. I know I'll be there. Nick, obviously not long left, but enjoy what's left of your birthday, pal. Thank you for taking time out of the celebrations to come on. We'd also like to thank Joe for doing double duty tonight and doing OSC and then coming on and being a fantastic panelist on Fools as well. From me, from Nick, from Joe, Mark, Rich, Woody and Craig, we will be back on Friday to preview the weekend's action, review whatever does happen tomorrow. And just remember, everyone, to trust the universe. From everyone at Fools Rush In, we'll see you then. And thank you for all your comments in the chat. A very, very good night.
Take my hands, take my whole life too, but I can't